I took a different path than most other people. I spent the first 15 years of my life with the world's worst stutter. I used to run out of class when they asked me to read out loud. And I went to my first open mic at age 34, even though I had long since stopped stuttering with years of speech therapy. I did an open mic. I did 5 minutes in front of 100 people at a singles group I was active with. And it was such a cathartic experience that I finally realized I could speak in public. So for me, it was a totally different road to go to than most comics who just want to get laughs or to be famous or whatever. It turned out the business is good to me. And I wound up making the money and haven't had a day job since 1992. I went from upper hospital administration to being a stand-up comic. It was a cathartic experience because, not because of the funny, because I was able to speak publicly without fear of stuttering. Actually, there was a fear I'd stutter, but I was over it. Actually, I've got Class Clown, George Carlin's Class Clown. I've got the vinyl, and that's one of the great albums ever. My favorite comedy sketch of all time, I haven't seen anything that rivals it for its place in comedy history, is Abbott and Costello's Who's on First Base. I think that was way ahead of its time. It's brilliant. And even though it's a little dated, I still think it was genius. I think that is the best comedy bit of all time. Sitcom, I gotta go with Carol O'Connor as Archie Bunker. I think that was a brilliantly written show, also way ahead of its time. Comedy movies, I'm a little pickier about liking comedy movies. I don't like slapstick that's been done before, so I'm not a Will Ferrell fan. Jim Carrey is brilliant. I just don't. He does great faces. He's a very physical comic. I just don't like a lot of his movies to watch the whole movie. You see him do a few things in a movie, that's enough for me. The plots are terrible, His stuff now is good on TV. His stuff's very good. But that's basically who I like. I don't know who wrote this. I did not. I wish I did. It's my favorite clean joke of all time. And it's an old premise that's been done 1,000 different ways. 3 guys die on Christmas Eve and go to heaven. And St. Peter says to each of them, if each of you can show me a symbol of Christmas, I'll let you into heaven. Goes to the first guy, do you, my son, have a symbol of Christmas? The guy thinks and pulls out a cigarette lighter. St. Peter says, what, my son, can this have to do with Christmas? He lights it and says, this is a candle. St. Peter says, wonderful, my son, welcome to heaven. Goes to the second guy, do you, my son, have a symbol of Christmas? Guy's not quite as sure as the first guy, but he starts reaching in his pockets, fumbling, reaching. A few minutes in, comes out with a set of keys on a ring. St. Peter says, what, my son, can this have to do with Christmas? He jingles them. These are bells. St. Peter says, wonderful, my son, welcome to heaven. Goes to the third guy. Do you, my son, have a symbol of Christmas? And the guy's clueless. He doesn't know what to do. Starts reaching and fumbling in his pockets because he got to play the game. He's reaching and fumbling. 30 minutes in, he's running out of time. Comes up with a pair of women's panties. And St. Peter says, what, my son, can this have to do with Christmas? These are carols. I'd have to go with a comic who can make me laugh watching him, like a Brian Regan, a Gaffigan. So, yeah, that's where I sit with that. I can't answer. It would take me a while to go through the thousands of comics. and figure. Number one, without a doubt, who I loved, Don Rickles. He did insult humor in a friendly way. He tried to do insults without being offensive. And I really dug that about him. So, if he called you a name, he'd apologize to you. He really was a classy, offensive comic. I'd love him to be the roaster. I started out doing improv. My team made it to the Improv Olympics 30 plus years ago, and I've tried acting. I did comedy acting. I played Oscar in The Odd Couple, and Tony and Tina's Wedding. Of course, not Broadway, for local theater companies in New Jersey. So they were comedy roles. I've done that. I'm pretty much, my career is complete. I'm just keeping it going while I'm still healthy enough to do it. I hope I can do it 5 years. I'm happy doing what I'm doing now, picking up little one-nighters here and there. I don't consider it a career anymore. I've made my money. Like I said, I'm on my second house on Comics Money. I'm doing it now because I'm blessed to be alive after my near-death experiences. And so for me, it's just paying back comedy how it's paid me back and keeping me alive. My Facebook page is Steve Bix Bix. Well, that I'm 66. I'm an older guy who survived a lot of stuff physically and, medically. And to see that you can overcome. And comedy is a good mechanism to overcome health issues and other issues. So, my name is Steve Bix, short for my full name, Bix and Span. But using that for my 30-year career was difficult. When I used my full name, anytime I'd show up at a comedy gig, the marquee, my name would be totally screwed up. So I've worked under my nickname, Bix Bix, all these years, short for my full name. And yep, you can see me on cutiepie.com. It was a pleasure doing this interview with Sareth. And keep on laughing, folks.